Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this webinar. I'm Ajay. I'm a senior bioinformatics engineer with Qiagen, specifically working in our QDI services team. And today I'm going to give this presentation on some QDI or QCI services that we provide in addition to our core clinical platforms such as QCI Interpret. I'm going to talk about the additional services that we provide with that platform to sort of scale your clinical labs throughput and even kind of enable a seamless end-to-end fastq to your clinical report workflow so that you have as less manual work as possible, and you can quickly get to your final clinical report from our reporting solutions. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into one of the most comprehensive services. Before I jump into that, I'm just going to talk about some of the critical business issues and challenges that typically clinical lab faces. So from a clinical lab perspective, getting operational and generating genetic testing reports in a timely and cost-effective manner is of the utmost importance. And you don't want to reference out your samples to another lab. You are better off if you are able to kind of process those samples in-house, for example. Typically, setting up analytics in-house can be time-consuming and costly because you might not have the right infrastructure. Typically, next-generation sequencing data for the genetic tests seem to be like a lot in quantity. Does require some significant infrastructure if you were to analyze that in-house. So it can become costly to set up an infrastructure if you don't already have one to analyze that data. And then once you have the infrastructure set up, developing your analysis pipelines, such as the variant calling pipelines, is the next step, and that also is challenging because it needs to be customized based on the assay that you're planning to run, the test that you're planning to run. So it does take a specific expertise and time to develop that analysis pipeline for your test, and that expertise and that time might not always be available. So with our services, what we can enable is we can enable a complete solution for your lab that can take the raw sequencing, the NGS sequencing data from any platform. It's platform agnostic, like Illumina, Ion Torrent, and then we can take you all the way to a final clinical report through interpretation and then sign out. And because we can enable this seamless workflow, almost automated workflow, there is a very less manual effort that's required here, and that will help you set up and release your test much quicker, and then also increase the throughput of your test. So the impact, of course, is a significant increase in profitability and potentially to process larger volume of samples if you do enable this service with us. And then you have reduced stress as you have a single partner, that is Qiagen, which has expertise on the panels, analytics, interpretation, who will work with you in the long run. Through all these aspects, like right from your secondary, even like from your panel to the secondary analysis, that is variant calling, optimization, and then even variant reporting and the final clinical report. So we will work with you in all these aspects to get you to your final clinical report from your raw sequencing data. So that being said, I'm going to jump into the most comprehensive services solution that we provide to clinical labs typically. is our end-to-end offering from your raw data, from your raw fastq data in QDI. So from your raw fastq data all the way to like a final clinical report in multiple different formats. So this is a very comprehensive services offering, as I said, that hits almost all the aspects from your raw fastq data all the way to the interpretation report. And then, of course, so there are components, there are service components in this entire workflow that I'm going to present. That, of course, you can even kind of go for a la carte rather than the whole solution. But I'll come to that a little later in the presentation. So there are pieces of this that you can choose to go for if you don't want to go for the entire workflow. For example, there are a lot of services pieces in here, independent pieces that you can also choose to sign up for based on your needs. So, but I'll come to that a little later in the presentation. So yeah, starting out with the most comprehensive offering here from the QDI services, clinical services that we provide. So assuming you have a test that you're planning to launch, you have your panel selected, and now you're looking at like analytics for that panel in terms of secondary analysis, that is variant calling, and then interpretation, the final QCI interpretation. So from the services side, we can enable a whole end-to-end, almost cloud-based workflow for your test that will take you all the way to Qiagen Clinical Insight, the interpretation platform that we have, and then even produce a report from that platform. So typically, as you can see in this diagram, what we will enable from the services side is we will pick up your raw sequencing data, and that data can be from any platform, any panel. So it can be from a Illumina platform, it can be from an Antoran platform. Even the panel that generated this data can be a QIAseq panel, that is a Qiagen panel, or it can even be a non-Qiagen panel. Like we have enabled this workflow for even non-Qiagen like panel customers. So we can even enable this for a Illumina panel or an Antoran panel or a Agilent panel. So what we'll do is we'll take the raw sequencing data from this panel, from this platform. So and then we will set up a process where that data gets uploaded to our analytics engine. So this analytics engine will be running a pipeline, a variant calling pipeline that has been optimized for your test and for your panel. So even before enabling this workflow, we will build a custom pipeline, analytics pipeline for your panel, and then have it enabled on our genomics cloud engine, that is our cloud environment. And then once you start generating your sequencing data, the process will submit the sequencing data to this custom pipeline that we have built for you on our cloud. It is powered by AWS. And then once the secondary analysis results are available, then we can work with your LIMS provider, for example, to couple these results along with relevant metadata for a particular sample in terms of say like the disease context for that sample, or the diagnosis that for that particular sample. So typically that information is stored in a LIMS or a list system, and we will work with your LIMS provider even to enable sort of coupling that metadata information along with the results from our analytics pipeline, and then sending those results over to our Qiagen Clinical Insight platform for variant interpretation. So we have enabled several such workflows for customers where we have worked with their LIMS vendors to integrate their LIMS system to this workflow. by using our application programming interface, that is APIs, to then, as I said, couple the metadata information for a sample along with the VCF or along with the variants that are generated from our analytics pipeline, and then kind of send that over to our interpretation platform. And then even after variant interpretation in our Qiagen Clinical Insight platform, depending on the workflow that you want to enable, there are capabilities of producing custom PDF reports with your own design, own lab branding, different colors, and different types of data that can be presented on the report. There are capabilities of exporting data in not just PDF, but different formats such as XML. So if you want your LIMS system to generate the final report, for example, and you just want QCI to extract some variant annotations, you can then extract those annotations in a XML type of format that is easily consumed by your LIMS system or any report generation system that you might be using. And then you can generate the report from your own system. So yeah, as you can see, it's a whole comprehensive end-to-end workflow here with little to no manual intervention. The only manual intervention might be that you might want to manually review the variants and their classifications in the Clinical Insight platform. But apart from that, this is a mostly hands-off workflow that gets you from your raw sequencing data all the way to your final clinical report. And as I said, like there are multiple services involved here. As I said, one is to build the customized workflow for your panel, and then having it enabled on this our genomics cloud engine here. And then the other aspect is to kind of work with your LIMS provider so that correct integrations are built into our Clinical Insight platform. And then even within the Clinical Insight platform, depending on how you want it, we can set up your your PDF report with different designs, different types of data that can be presented, or can set you up with just XML style export from the platform, which you can export the annotations and data for the variants, and then build your own report. So this is a very comprehensive offering, as I said, that takes you all the way, can take you all the way to your final clinical report. So having presented this, then now I'm going to go a little more into the a la carte offerings that I mentioned. So as I said, this is a very comprehensive offering, but if for example, you already have your own variant calling pipeline that you have developed or are comfortable with, but just need the integrations with your LIMS system for high throughput submissions to our interpretation platform, and just need variant interpretations, we can enable that. Or if you just need like a PDF report, a nice PDF report with your branding and design, we can enable that. If you want like a customized XML export with different data points, we can enable that. So there are multiple a la carte offerings that you can go for if you don't want to go for like this whole comprehensive service offering here. Yeah, before I jump into that, one quick thing to reiterate that this is platform agnostic. We can enable this for any panel, any sequencing platform. And then the other thing being, this is mostly a cloud-based workflow. So you don't have to maintain any sort of servers or hardware in-house, because the secondary analysis engine is running on our cloud instance, the Amazon S3 instance. And then even Qiagen Clinical Insight is a cloud-based software. So for this whole workflow, you don't have to maintain any sort of hardware or very minimal hardware locally. And now I will kind of move into more of the a la carte offerings. So as I said, if you don't want if you already have a secondary analysis platform that you have access to and are comfortable with for your panel that calls the variants, and you just want the variant interpretation from QCI, and are looking for a high throughput submissions to the platform and exporting data from the platform instead of low throughput upload through the UI one by one sort of a process, then we do have very comprehensive APIs, application programming interfaces into QCI Interpret that we provide consultation for, so that your LIMS system or LIST systems can take advantage of these application programming interfaces and then couple your variants along with the relevant metadata for that sample. So depending on the workflow, whether you're trying to get up like a somatic test up and running or a germline test up and running, most of the sample-based metadata that might be required for variant interpretation, such as like for a germline panel, if it's like a carrier screening, you might be interested in specific indications or the germline diseases you might want to focus on. All that information for a sample is stored mostly in the LIMS system. For example, for a somatic workflow, the diagnosis is an important piece of information that is required for variant interpretation. And that piece of information is typically stored in a LIMS or a LIST system. And then we will work with either LIMS vendors, commercial third-party LIMS vendors, or even if it's an internal in-house system that you have developed. We will work with the developers of your system to enable like an end-to-end workflow where you submit your variants along with the relevant metadata to the QCI platform, and automatically you can even export out variant annotations in the format of your choice, such as XML or PDF, and then you can export that data back into your LIMS system for a whole end-to-end workflow. So we have already done a lot of successful integrations with third-party LIMS vendors. And once the advantage with this is once the integration is built, then typically it's a one-time effort. So it's a minimal effort. It's a one-time effort. The APIs are quite comprehensive. So we have partnered with, not officially partnered, but we have worked with many third-party commercial LIMS vendors to build integrations into QCI, so that to enable like high throughput, less manual intervention, end-to-end workflow for our customers. We have also worked with in-house systems that were developed in-house by the customers. We have also successfully interacted with like in-house development teams to build API integrations into QCI. So this kind of gives you a seamless end-to-end workflow once you get your VCF files or once you get your variant calls from your secondary analysis or variant calling pipeline that they are using. This kind of a service can pick you up from there and then take you all the way to the clinical report. So you won't, so if you remember, if I presented in the whole comprehensive solution, this one, yeah, you can just go for the API integration consultation service kind of that we provide. So kind of moving on, after your upload into the QCI platform, we can also set up custom variant reporting policies that can help you to report variants automatically and save you a lot of manual effort to go through each and every variant and kind of manually report that variant out to be on your final clinical report. So once you upload the variants into the QCI platform, either via the APIs that I described before, or even if you have enabled our whole comprehensive service offering, once you upload the variants into QCI, and we can set up automated reporting policies using that. This is a service that we can provide, is to then assess those variants based on those based on the reporting policy. And the reporting policy will be created based on what you want it to be. So based on your lab's reporting rules, we can implement that in QCI and have the variants automatically reported, and then you can just do a quick review of those, and then that kind of solves, that saves you a lot of manual effort to assess or go to each and every variant and review each and every variant. Examples of reporting policies is typically, for example, in QCI, we implement the ACMG rules. But for example, in Europe, most of the labs follow the ACGS rules instead of ACMG. They are slightly different. So for some of those labs, we created custom reporting policies that implement the ACGS rules instead of the ACMG rules. Some of the clinical labs report variants only below or above a certain allele fraction. So we can kind of implement those custom rules or custom rules for a lab, such that variants below a certain allele fraction won't even get reported. So you don't have to review those variants because your lab's protocol is to not look at variants below a certain allele fraction, for example, and that will save you a lot of manual effort. We can have variant assessments expire after a certain period. So many of the labs, once they assess a particular variant, if they see that variant again in like a period of 6 months, they like to report it the exact same way. But after 6 months, they want to do like a re-review of that variant to make sure that there's been no extra content that might change the classification of that variant, for example. So we can have the custom policies where your assessments expire after a certain period of time. And these are just some of the examples that I've outlined here. But this can essentially be customized based on your needs. So if your lab has a set of protocols that it applies for a variant assessment, many of those protocols can be programmed into these reporting policies, and then that does save you a lot of manual work. And for many of the samples, it will take you a minute to generate a clinical report, final clinical report for a particular sample, rather than having to assess a bunch of 50, 60 variants. That might take a lot of time. So these are the reporting policies. After the reporting policies, now we come to like data export part of it, because say once you're ready to kind of publish a report, what kind of services we provide in that area. So for reporting out of the QCI platform, we do provide a lot of services. We do provide a custom PDF design for your lab, and that design is completely flexible in terms of layout, in terms of design, in terms of language, in terms of content. So for example, there are a couple of examples in this slide. As you can see, we even through custom services can support languages as complex as Mandarin, Arabic. So we have varied language support through services to extend the capabilities of the QCI platform. So you can imagine the amount of customization that can be done here. The platform is very flexible. So you can have a report, like a final clinical report with your lab branding, with the design of your choice, and we can enable that. And then even the data that is presented on the report is customizable. So again, that is based on your choice. So we work with you closely to produce a report that suits your needs. And many of our customers, the reports generated from our platform can go directly or do go directly to their customers, or in some cases even patients, because the QCI platform is a HIPAA compliant, completely secure platform. So you can even send us PHI data such as the patient name or any data that is considered PHI, and you can have it shown on your final clinical report. So many customers do take advantage of these services that we provide, and for them, the report coming out of QCI is kind of the final report that goes to like their customers or patients. So this is one of the very popular service offerings that we have, because as you can see, it's very flexible in terms of what we can do here for your report. And this I presented about the PDF report, but we do have the capability to export the data from the platform in multiple other formats, such as, so PDF is not the only one, but we do have an XML output or XML export that you can take advantage of. So if you do have your own PDF reporting engine, existing reporting engine, and you just want to export the data from QCI, and you want to feed that data to your own system that then generates the final data, that is possible because XML is a very flexible export format. So you can export the QCI annotations in an XML format, and then you can parse that XML to extract the information or annotations that you're interested in. And then you can feed those to your own reporting system and generate reports from there. So this XML output is also very flexible. We can add more data points to it depending on your needs. We can pivot the structure depending on your needs. So based on that segue, so yeah, as I said, we similar to different styles of PDF reports, we can also develop different formats of the XML reports or exports. So for example, as I said, we can add extra customized content to your XML export, or we can change or pivot the structure of the XML export based on what your system needs, or what's the most suitable for your needs. So this is also a very flexible export that is used by many of our customers, as I said, who have their own reporting engine or who generate the reports from their LIMS system. So this is a very flexible format for that. So this goes back again into the API integrations, where any system can extract this output from the QCI platform in an XML format, and then use that data to generate your report. And you can even export the PDF style report from the API and then save it back to your system of record. So there is a lot of flexibility here in terms of what can be done to customize the output. So with that is kind of the overview of all the services that we do provide related to our QCI or QDI platform for clinical services. So as you can see, it's a very comprehensive service offering. As I said, you can enable the whole fastq to your clinical report workflow, but not just that. Depending on your need, you can avail any of the services a la carte, depending on what you are looking for and what is your lab's needs. So for example, if you have your secondary analysis pipeline set and are just looking for high throughput variant reporting and annotation through the QCI platform, we can enable that through the APIs. If you are looking for just a very nice clinical report with a design of your choice, that is doable. If you're looking for an XML style export, that is doable. So there's a lot of flexibility that the services that we provide that can bring to your clinical lab, and then eventually this will help you to kind of streamline your test, and then will help you scale your test whenever needed. Thank you very much.